Bonjour à tous, bonjour à toutes, j'espère que vous allez bien. Nous sommes de retour avec les étudiants de l'IHECS sur Twitch, entre autres dans le cadre de ces cours où on explore les enjeux, les opportunités, les potentiels autour de l'innovation et de l'entrepreneuriat. On a la chance d'avoir avec nous un nouvel invité. Je vais attendre encore 2-3 minutes pour que tout le monde puisse répliquer et on va switcher en anglais pour cette session-ci, puisqu'on a la chance d'avoir avec nous Christian. Hi Christian. You're from the product development of Lovable. I've just shown the home screen of Lovable right now, but I would like to say first of all that I love this product. I've in touch with you since a couple of days right now because I'm using Lovable, and even if I'm not a tech guy, and that's why Lovable is such a great product. It's a pleasure to have us with you and with us today because, you've been on Product Hunt a couple of days ago and you did it pretty well. But first, what is Lovable? And you can show your screen if you want. Students, don't hesitate to ask questions. If you want, you have the link to jump in it, to ask question and come on the screen. It will be super, super handy because we have some kind of exciting stuff for you and a link to make some tests. So don't sign in on Lovable right now because the team will give you a link to do that afterwards. First, listen to Christian and to the presentation. Thanks.
Thanks for having me, Damien. So what is Lovable? So Lovable in a nutshell is we're trying to enable anyone to create full stack software applications. And we're doing that by leveraging large language models and by enabling you to create software by simply describing it in plain English. That's basically the vision. And I can maybe share here my screen and sort of run through like a micro version of the history of software. So everything of Lovable starts with this sort of aha moment. This is Andrei Karpathy. He's one of the founding members of OpenAI, which kind of proclaims English as being the new software or official programming language. And if you go back like towards the beginning of computer science, like it all started with like very low level, complex, boring and sort of hard to follow languages. Then kind of we added higher level languages on top of that have some words we recognize. If you look at the image here, you can already read some words because they're English. And then we have like higher level languages like JavaScript and other scripting languages that power the web. And the sort of wave we're riding on is sort of the next level of abstraction that large language models enable, which is using English simply to describe the requirements of what you want to build, and then using LLMs to convert English into coding. And this is basically what Lovable does. It takes a prompt, typically in English, but also in any language you might speak. It then uses LLMs to generate code, and we show and execute the code in a preview so that it's super visible for you. And you get this sort of fast sort of feedback loop. And this is much better than alternatives, and it's much better for several reasons. If you want to build a software as a non-technical person, you previously could either do two things. You could hire an expensive team of developers that would cost you quite a bit of money, or you could use what's called no-code, low-code tools, like Bubble, like Flutterflow. There's a bunch of them. And the problem with these tools is that they're often very difficult to learn. They have a very complex UI. They have a lot of buttons, and they also are not very flexible. So you can get sort of to 90% of the functionality you want to build, but the last 10% is going to be impossible. And lastly, they're very black boxed in nature, and it's very hard to take that and maybe extract the code and use it in somewhere else, or get some developers to collaborate with you because it's super sort of tied in to the platform. So these are like the drawbacks that Lovable also addresses, and right now, what I think I can do is I can show you a little bit how Lovable looks like. So this is basically our landing page. And the first thing you'll notice is you'll find a big text area where you are supposed to describe and write exactly what you want. So maybe I'll pause here and I'll ask any of the attendees here, like, is there any idea? Is there a problem you've been having? Is there something you want to build? that we can now do collaboratively, maybe. And
Oh, that's a great idea. Come on, students, in the chat box, don't hesitate to suggest something to build. I know this is pretty weird for you to do that because you're non-tech guys, and that's just especially why this is so interesting. Don't hesitate to ask not question, but to say, okay, I've got a problem and I want build something that help me to solve this problem. So maybe it's going to be, I don't know, a shop to sell your sweatshirt from the student school you're in it. I know that every year you try to, you are selling some sweatshirt with your identity on it, and you figured out how to use that. Is there a Shopify shop or maybe whatsoever? What's the problem you're facing right now, and something we are gonna build together. Don't hesitate on the chat or on the WhatsApp group. Don't be shy if you have any ideas.
And Damien, feel free to pass on whatever you see to me, because I can't see the chat. I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There, I see that Matt is on the chat right now. I say hi. Hi, Matt. Come on, guys. What kind of problem do you have and that we could solve? Is there anything? Don't be shy. Or maybe you want to jump in it. Just use the link I've provided you to jump in it, the conversation with us, and speak up or ask question if you have it. Maybe we can wait a couple of minutes and see other projects, because there's some feature projects and maybe they will give them some ideas to.
Sure. So
go ahead.
We have some existing projects here. So I don't know. Let's see. This one here is pretty interesting. I think there's a game here. Let's look at a couple here. So this is, I think, somebody built a bill generator. So you can basically add properties here, and I'm just putting random information. And then I think what you do is you pick a template, and then it basically takes the information and it creates a PDF that you can download. This is an example of an internal tool that you could build using Lovable. This is more of a fun example. I think you probably can't hear it, but this basically is a drum machine, basically. You can configure the beat, and it has all these different instruments. And if you would be hearing what I'm hearing, you would hear the music playing. So it's basically like a mixing board, basically.
Okay. We got some ideas in the chat. I would like to create a tool that helps me to collect job offers in my area without looking on every website.
Okay.
That's a suggestion from Matt.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. So I think what I'm gonna start with here is I'm gonna create a tool that will allow you to create the job offers and list them. And then I think something you would do separately is then like find a way of maybe scraping or kind of pulling data from all the different portals and loading that into so some sort of database that you connect to. So I'll just start with the visual component first. So I'll create a tool that aggregates all jobs from different portals.
Let's say Brussels area.
From the Brussels area, for now, build something that lets me add jobs after describing jobs and see a list of submitted jobs. Feel free to show me some placeholder. So maybe I'll start with something like this.
So what is really special here, that's you're speaking a natural language with the machine, and the machine will understand what you are trying to do. So the prompt is for sure very important, but you don't have to code anything. You don't write any code, you just speak up.
Exactly. And then what the LLM will do is it will take my description, it will make some planning here, tells me it's going to create a modern job listing page with search and filtering capabilities, a form to add new jobs, with some placeholder data, and then it will sort of code or create the right code files for me. And once it's done coding, then it will basically run the application here in this right container for me to be able to interact with it and validate whether it is exactly what I wanted or not. And once you have a first version, then naturally you would expect to be able to iterate on this and add more features or improve things. And I'll show you how that's done in a bit.
So it describes on the left with the chat everything. Okay, here it is.
Yeah, and here it is. So it as I said, I wanted some placeholder data. It's created three example jobs, and I don't know if So basically, it seems like filtering works. You maybe also can do like part-time and depending on the sort of the type of employment, and then I would expect also the form to also work. Job, example, company, location, Brussels, salary range, I don't know, 40K a year. And then this should also basically, hopefully if it works, show me the test job that I should be able also to filter on. So this would be an example, and then how you iterate, you simply continue, you simply continue, you can sort of iterate by just requesting changes. You can add images if that's a thing, if you have some specific, logo that you want to add, but also, also if you have a design that you want to you want the AI to take into account. So for example, but in this case, I want to add a logo. I could be like, add this logo to the left of, and then I'm just going to copy this as a reference. And that would be a way of adding images inside the application. And other stuff you can do is you can select if there is a specific change you want across all the boxes, like say I want this to be like pointy instead of round, you could describe it here, and that would make sure the context is passed incorrectly. So this is basically how things work. You can revert back if you don't like changes and you make a mistake. And there you go. There's the image.
Okay, let's say that we have a bunch of websites that are posting some job boards, and that we want to collect them and aggregate in this personal portal. Can we say that? How do we proceed? Normally, you got to have an API stuff. You got to set up some calls, etc., to catch up the content. How does it work here? Is it possible to grab it and to show it on our job board?
Yes, it is possible, but it will take a bit of wrangling here. So I'm not sure how deep you want me to go.
Okay.
If as you notice, I can quickly explain how you would do this, right? So something you notice maybe is that the job I entered before is no longer here. I refreshed it, and it disappeared. This is a front-end only website for now. It doesn't store anything, so it forgets about things the second you click on refresh. To add in backend capabilities to store things and to also connect with third-party systems, we currently have an integration with Supabase.
So it's a database. That's something really important, and that's, from my point of view, something really, really new. That's because as a non-tech guys, making something on the front, you can do that with CSS stuff or whatsoever, but again, here you can connect it, and Lovable do the job of connecting the front and the back, which is something really, really interesting.
Exactly. And the way you would go about this, you would create an account in supabase.com, and then you would create a project first, a new project, and then you would simply write the name of the project and the password for the database, which is not too important, but it's just a necessary step. And then you would go back to Lovable, and you would connect the project with that you just created with Supabase. And then you would basically just tell Lovable that it should store this information. And after you've done that, then you can not only store things, but you can also ask it to do what you just said. I want to scrape, or I want to build a scraper. That's what it's called, these spider, this sort of like bots that go and take information from other sites. I want to scrape this website, jobs.be, and this other website, techjobs.be, and I want you to store them in the database and then show them here as well. And I want you to run this every 30 minutes or every 30 days. You can do this kind of more advanced functionality, but as of today, it requires you to connect with something like Supabase.
Okay, that's what it's make perfectly working application. Because with just the front, you just have the front, but here you've got the back. So this is a perfectly working application.
Yeah, that's correct. And you can add authentication. You can add a bunch of more advanced stuff. But I think I'll keep it to sort of the front end only, and then I'll encourage you to test. And we have a bunch of docs. If you go to docs.lovable.dev and you want to get inspired on how to do this, you can look at the step-by-step tutorial. And here we have a bunch of steps around Supabase, how to add authentication, how to start storing data with Supabase, how to add edge functions. And here you can probably get a lot of value.
And make payments, etc., etc. You can connect with Stripe. You can connect with a lot of other services to make the application really, really working. Do you have question, guys, in the chat? I see that it's coming. Laurent is asking, do the AI see the page or just see the text?
Yeah, so good question. So the AI by default won't see the visual version, exactly what you see, but it has the file. So it knows the text and it has some idea on the structure of the content. If what you're working with has a strong visual component, what I can suggest is that you take a screenshot. And you can take a screenshot and then you can annotate it even. You can be like, I don't know if you see my screen here, but what I've done now is like, I don't know, let me try to do this here. So like basically, let me see. So I basically taken a screenshot and then annotated it and copy pasted it back. And this is a stupid example, but I'm basically saying, I don't want this middle square, for example. And then you can like request a change here. And that will make sure that the AI and you are kind of aligned in terms of what visually you want to do.
All right.
So that's a bit of a hack. Yeah,
that's a cool. And if you see some fancy stuff online, you say, it's a super great example of what I want to do, like a Pinterest of whatsoever of design or functionalities, feature, etc., etc. I provide Lovable the link or the screen or
the screenshot.
The screenshot.
Links are not links currently are not they're not read by
okay. You can't say, all right, make a copycat of tech meme. It won't do it.
It happens to be that the model knows about some websites. So if you tell it to do a copy of Airbnb.com, it just has memory of what that website looks like, so it will be able to do it. But if it's an unknown website, then passing a URL won't do much.
Okay.
Yeah.
May we ask another question, another try with another example? I want to create a good planning to organize my task with the right time and not to lose too much on doing a planning myself.
So a planning tool to
organize my tasks with the right time and not to lose too much time, I guess, on doing a planning myself. So maybe it's going to be based on Google Task or organize my task. Yeah, I guess something like that.
Let's see what it does. We can always improve on it, but we can give this a go.
And that's something really cool because the more idea you got, the more interaction you can have with Lovable and try. I've tried a lot of different kind of stuff, ranging from videos, interviews to etc. You can really have fun with that at the first glance and then build it and ship it. It's something really, really interesting. So we tried the code first.
It writes the code first, and then hopefully soon it will show us a first version of it.
Price is saying on the chat, I love Lovable. I'm using every day. Thanks, Price. Nice. There's some question about the price. We're gonna have words about that just afterwards.
Yeah. So here you see this is a simple version that allows you to list tasks. And actually, in this case, you see it hasn't implemented the add task, so I could simply tell it to implement the add task functionality, and that would trigger it to also complete that part of the product.
Okay.
But for now, you have this basic version that has the 3 sample tasks. And if you like code or you want to learn code, you can always inspect the code. You don't have to, but I've seen that many people that are interested and want to actually get a bit more of a sort of end-to-end understanding to to spend some time looking at how Lovable does things, and that slowly actually builds up, and you will soon be able to understand more or less what you see. So okay, task two.
Yeah, basically it's coding in a WYSIWYG way.
Yes, and there you go. This is now you can enter tasks, and now you could also describe what other functionality you were envisioning, especially around the. I don't know how you can make this better in order for you not to lose time.
And another thing I found really interesting with the chat, because it's a chat with the machine, is ask the machine how to improve or give example or try stuff or maybe get some ideas and challenge my assumption, because as a non-tech, again, maybe I'm using the wrong words or the, okay. Tell me 3 things I could add this app do not code yet. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's, right now Lovable is a bit too trigger happy. It will try to code even if you're just asking for questions. It's nice to just tell it not to. So yeah,
Excellent.
so now it's asking for task categories, tags, task statistics dashboard. Maybe we could do that one. So you could just simply maybe paste it and see what it does. I'm curious. But yeah, you can have conversations, and something we're thinking about actually is like having a specific chat mode versus a code mode, right? That you can safely have this conversation without risking it editing your code and your project.
Yeah, and that's something, again, it's another feature. You can link it to your GitHub account. And so what's happening with the code and with everything built from inside Lovable? Could you grab it and go abroad with that, or implement it another way? Or, well, how do you proceed with that?
Yeah, so the beauty of Lovable is that all the code is basically stored in GitHub, which you can think of it as like I don't know, like the Google Drive of code is where you store the files of everything you're kind of building upon. Mm-hmm. And you can transfer this to be under your account. You can create a GitHub account, and you can transfer it under for it to be in your in your organization. And this means that you own the code. It also means that you can download it and use whatever other tool you might have available to edit and improve on this code. And you can host it wherever you want. If one day you want to sort of exit Lovable and continue with a different system or tool, you can do that. And GitHub is what all developers use in any company in the world. They collaborate using this sort of this system, and so it's also super useful in case you've gotten maybe 60% of the way with Lovable, but you want to continue working on your project. And bringing a developer is very easy because they're used to working with Git, so they can simply like sort of connect to this GitHub repository and start working with you in parallel. So, and all the changes you make to Git will be automatically reflected in Lovable. So you can have sort of this like two streams of work, and still make edits through Lovable in a sort of language first way.
So to be very clear for the student, you don't own the code built with Lovable. You can download it. You can put it on other repository. You can use it for do whatever you want. And then if it's correctly plugged into GitHub, you can go back to Lovable and walk from there to go further, etc., and go back and forth. Okay. I hope it's clear for everyone on the chat, because it's a game changer. Really to do that. And Price is asking on the chat, Lovable isn't 100% replacement for a dev, but it can do a lot. I imagine that the devs use Lovable, but I imagine that others are criticizing you. How do you position yourself about that?
In what way do you think they criticize us for?
What kind of criticism do you receive?
I think I mean, a lot of the sort of it's not really criticism. It's more like skepticism towards like, okay, how complex can the apps be that you can build in Lovable? How far can you actually get with Lovable? And my experience is that you still can't build some types of projects. If you're going to build a data platform that handles terabytes or gigabytes of data and has to do things real time, you will need very specific infrastructure and extremely complex code base to do that. However, with our Supabase integration, you can cover a lot of the typical SaaS that you might use in a company, like a CRM, a task manager, a client portal. A lot of these tools are actually not that complex when it comes to the underlying software. They're basically an interface that allows you to typically create, update, delete, and you have accounts, and things need to be persisted. That's basically, I've described maybe 90% of internal applications, right? So you can actually build first versions of fully functional first versions of all these types of software, and I think this is already a huge unlock. If your application gets too big and you start having a lot of files, then you will notice that Lovable starts to struggle a bit more, and it will need more handholding. But I think you can still get pretty far. And obviously, what my team is focusing on, or what Lovable is focusing on, the engineering team especially, is making sure that we can push the frontier of the caliber of the application as far as possible.
Yeah, that's Price said. What do? He prototypes, and then he shared the prototypes demo to his dev and asked to build upon that. And that's maybe a good way to do that. One of the other question is that bankable for a company to use that? I guess that with some kind of company like Odoo, which is a Belgian company, I guess you know it, Odoo. You pay $20 a month for a user, and it already has that kind of CRM feature whatsoever. Is it is it your opponent in this area? Yeah, you're competing against Odoo.
Yeah. So actually, I know Odoo. I don't know them in detail, so I don't know exactly how they're set up. I believe they are some sort of low code, no code, but they still. I think I think the code is still, you can manipulate it maybe. So maybe Odoo is a more flexible version of no code, low code. Yeah, it's open source.
Yeah.
So I would say, there is an overlap between the problems Odoo is trying to solve and the ones we are trying to solve. I would expect you to maybe be a bit more technical if you want to use something like Odoo, and you maybe have to go into the nitty gritty of the code and be able to configure things. With Lovable, we're trying to maybe go an abstraction higher, where anybody that is able to speak English or their mother language, for that matter, can be able to build, a first fully functional version of their idea.
And it works in French. I've tried in French, and it works perfectly.
Yeah, and we're less tied into like building blocks, or we're not thinking that much of. We don't think of like pre-built components that you then stitch together. We're kind of like approaching it from like you have a blank template, and Lovable will help you build exactly what you want by basically giving you custom code from the get-go. Which is a bit of a different approach, because we can now, because LLMs are enabling this, and it's becoming cheaper and faster to do so.
Will it be easy? Another question. Will it be easy to use and link with UI apps to build out a fairly basic website?
So say that again. So is it possible to use Lovable?
Will it be easy to use and link with UI apps to build out a fairly basic website? I guess it's mixing other UI apps. You can do that with, I don't know, maybe Twitter. What was the the framework? You can link between different frameworks.
Yeah. So we already kind of do that for you. We have an equivalent of Twitter Bootstrap, if that's the one.
Bootstrap. Okay.
So we use ShatCN, which is the industry standard now. So we under the hood, Lovable uses these sort of components to build UI, and you will see it's a super flexible and powerful component library. And you can try to use your own, and Lovable has the ability to install packages, and a lot of these packages are like open source libraries that solve a specific problem, and Twitter Bootstrap will be one of them, but by default, our apps ship with ShatCN, and you will be most successful using ShatCN and not trying to sort of overwrite that. However, there's a lot of functionality that is not connected to the component library that you can add. So, for example, there's a component library that just solves like the confetti effect. So I could, for example, say like add confetti effect every time user completes task. And this is just to show you an example of how it can install existing sort of
libraries, etc.
libraries.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you see here, it's like, okay, we'll use a popular Canvas confetti package, and this is a package that it's installing with a specific version to do this. And this is a stupid example, but there's equivalent for drag and drop libraries. There is map libraries, there is calendar libraries, and Lovable automatically try to install this whenever it makes sense. And here you see the confetti that is added.
Okay, super fancy. Another question, any insight on the roadmap? What are the big challenges you're working on at the moment?
Sure. So for us, like the number one thing we need to solve and become much better at is just plain reliability. So as I was saying, as the project grows, and just in general, like LLMs are non-deterministic, and as a consequence of that, it's hard to sort of introduce guardrails that make our product reliable. And as projects grow as well, like the AI will struggle with context, and making changes that don't break existing functionality becomes more challenging. So just solving reliability and making sure reducing the possibilities of you as a user getting stuck in a sort of error loop, all those sort of scenarios are something we want to minimize, and reliability is like top of focus. We also know, we also want to make it easier for you to collaborate with others when you're building in Lovable. So being able to bring in a developer, if you're non-technical, but maybe if you're a developer, you want to bring in a business stakeholder or a designer to also collaborate with you. We want to make that possible. So we want to make Lovable basically a platform for teams to use to build software on. And that's also going to be something we focus on. And then there's a lot of stuff around like edits that are maybe not where you don't necessarily need to use AI or a chat to make, but there's a lot of potential in just using good old cursor and sort of click interactions to make editing text, maybe, for example, much more straightforward.
Directly into the page, you can edit the text or whatsoever, just clicking on it.
Potentially, yeah, or some variant of that. So we're also looking a little bit.
It could be super great. Which arrives with the question: how many people are using Lovable right now? How much people have jumped in it? I see the OK stick on product, which is quite impressive. But maybe if you have some numbers.
Yeah. So I mean, what are the numbers? I think we have. I think we have around like shy of like 300,000 users.
Wow.
We have shy of under 4K customers, paying customers, and we have more than 1,000 projects created every day. So quite a bit of traction, and we're seeing a pretty impressive sort of growth curve.
Yeah, sure. And you've raised some money in October, I guess, around 7 million euros, something like that, I guess. It's a runway till next March, April, till the next round of seeding, I guess, something like that. It's quite impressive to see a European company, because you're based in Sweden, I guess, is right? Why not in the US? Will it be easier in the US, or is it totally okay to do that from Europe, from your point of view?
Yeah. No, good question. Good question. I mean, I think there's maybe a couple reasons why we've decided to stay here in Stockholm, despite the AI ecosystem being super strong in places like San Francisco. I think the founders are from Stockholm for a start, so they're based here. They have a strong network here. We think there's a lot of smart people in Europe and in Scandinavia, in places like Stockholm, that are working in the AI space. And so we think that we want to play a role in cultivating the community of AI people building in AI in Europe, and it should be possible. For now, we want to just see if we can do this from here, and it doesn't mean that we won't have maybe some American presence in the near future. But for now, it hasn't been a sort of blocker for us. We've managed to onboard amazing teammates, very smart people, and we're going to continue to do so.
I guess you're recruiting right now technical profiles, I guess, but most of the students here are students in marketing. Do you hiring, or are you planning to do that?
Yeah, I think we have a position out for marketing role right now.
Okay.
I think that we're looking to fill. Yeah.
Guys, if you're that and you're interesting, which comes the question: how does it cost to use Lovable?
How much does it cost? So we have different plans. The starting plan. So first of all, we have a free version that will give you some free edits a week. I think it's five edits a day, and it maxes out at 50 a month. And then we have different plans depending on how many messages or edits you want to do. So I think the starting plan costs $20, and it gives you around 100 edits, and then you can go from there to 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and the prices will go up, and you'll get certain discounts as the volume grows.
Okay, what you call an edit? It's a call. It's a chat message in the chat box. That's an edit.
Well, currently, actually, we're a bit. It's not exactly that. An edit is just if the message you send actually edits the code base or tries to edit the code base. Yeah. So if you're only having a discussion, for now we won't charge for that. That might change in the future, but for now it's only if it touches the.
Okay, I see. So when you ask, give me some ideas, but don't code, it doesn't count as an edit.
Currently, it doesn't, but that might change.
Currently. Okay. It's a pro tip from Price in the chat. Merge your request in one message and a two short chat message. So is it okay to merge everything in one big sentence?
I mean, obviously, I think it will impact reliability a little bit, especially if you start asking for 5 things in one message. Yeah. But if it's 2 things that are related, then I think.
As always, for the LLMs, it's always better to cut and short and have very specific question. Thank you again, Christian. I know your time is really precious, so I would like to thank you again, and it's very interesting. We've got some great surprise for the students, because what I said, you provide me a link, and I don't know what is the price amounts. The price for a month, it's $20 for a month, something like that.
The starter plan is $20 a month.
Yeah, and the special links we're gonna provide to the students, and maybe one or two guys in the chat will be 50% off. So for $10 a month, you will have 100 edits, and I'll pay for that. It's gonna be on my bill. So yeah, my pleasure to do that. I'm not paid by Lovable to do that. Let's be quite sure for that. But I appreciate the rebate and the reduction you're providing for 50% off. Thank you again for letting my students playing with that tools. I guess it's a wonderful one. It's a deal breaker for most of them, and I hope they will enjoy to put their hands on. And thank you again, Christian. I don't know, maybe if you have some links or other stuff, we can follow you on LinkedIn. I can share the LinkedIn profile here on it. This is the Lovable page on LinkedIn, and you can find everything and every people. I guess the job board will be live with the marketing offer will be.
Yeah, I think so.
I see design engineer, platform engineer. Yeah. Is there any? Yeah, you can go over starting from there. Okay.
Yeah, also Lovable.dev careers. But yeah, if you have any feedback,
sure,
send it through. Then you can do that either by going to feedback.lovable.dev, or you can just email like Christian with a K at lovable.dev. Any of those will work.
Super cool, awesome. Thank you, Christian. Right. And I'll leave you there. Thank you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
Bye bye. See you.
Ciao.
So, bye bye. Thank you. Bon, les petits gars. Bah maintenant, ça va être à vous de jouer. Merci encore Laurent, parce que je sais que tu es avec nous dans le chat. Merci de m'avoir fait découvrir ce tools-là. Moi, je me suis éclaté avec ce truc. Je me suis vraiment amusé à builder plein de trucs. Alors, beaucoup de choses forcément, puisque je suis pas très tech à la base, mais quand on a des idées, et je pense que Price, qui est avec nous, si t'as l'occasion, Price, de jumper sur ta cam, je te file un lien et tu rentres avec moi dans la conversation ici pour nous montrer un peu ce que tu fais, si ça te botte et que t'as un peu du temps devant toi. J'y vais complètement Il a 20 projets en cours, Price. Si tu veux venir nous en montrer l'un ou l'autre, vas-y, fonce, comme ça peut peut-être continuer à donner des iddes aux étudiants. Je t'envoie le lien pour rentrer dans 5 minutes. Bah, nickel. Je t'envoie le lien, tu jumps dans le call quand tu veux. Moi, ce que j'ai envie de vous proposer, puisque vous l'avez compris, vous allez avoir un code pour pouvoir vous créer un compte sur Lovable. Alors, comme c'est moi qui paye, même à 10 balles par mois, j'ai pas envie de me flinguer ni de me couper un rein. Donc, ce qu'on va faire, c'est que dans les groupes, et là, je m'adresse aux étudiants, dans les groupes, vous êtes 13. Je voudrais que dans le WhatsApp, vous me filiez les adresses mail ou que vous me disiez ouais c'est moi chef de groupe, donc un chef de groupe par groupe forcément, à qui je vais envoyer un lien et vous allez pouvoir vous créer un compte directement sur Lovable et pouvoir le tester en mode ce sera gratuit pour vous, c'est moi qui réglerai à la fin du mois. Vous allez avoir un mois pour jouer avec dans la formule starter, donc 100 edits par mois. Okay, vous allez pouvoir jouer avec, vous allez pouvoir tester, enfin voilà. Et moi je trouverais ça assez cool que vous puissiez l'utiliser pour ce que vous avez à faire pour mercredi, puisque mercredi vous allez avoir un pitch pour présenter une des innovations sur lesquelles vous allez décider de travailler. Allez-y, amusez-vous, faites-vous plaisir, jouez avec Lovable, vous allez voir l'interaction avec la machine est juste folle. Si vous êtes sur la version free, je pense que c'est 5 messages par jour. 5 messages, on y est très vite. Il n'y a pas le temps de faire grand-chose. Si vous en avez ça, ah ouais, super, il y a Price qui arrive. Hop. Allez. Hey! Comment ça va? Je sais pas si tu m'entends. Alors attends, il faut que tu pousses un peu le son de ton côté. Je t'entends pas. Tac, tac, tac. Ah, attends. Je pense que tu t'es... Est-ce que tu t'es muté? Non, at left. Là, je te vois 2 fois. Attends, c'est moi qui déconne. Évidemment, sinon ce serait pas marrant. Hop. Ah là.
Voilà. Là,
ça va, c'est moi. Ouais, on t'entend. Salut. T'es où?
Je suis chez moi dans ma grotte.
Excellent. Et tu codes. Tu fais partie...
Hiver, Lovable, donc voilà.
Voilà, tu fais partie de ceux à qui j'ai eu le plaisir. Alors, Laurent me l'a montré, moi je te l'ai montré, ça fait partie évidemment de la façon dans laquelle ce genre de putain de petits services se propage à une vitesse colossale, parce que ça fait le job, hein. Ça fait méchamment le job.
C'est game changer à fond, c'est incroyable.
Raconte-nous un peu d'abord qui tu es, comme ça on te situe un petit peu, parce que nous, moi je sais, je pense qu'un certain nombre dans le chat savent qui tu es, dont Matt, mais mes students, je pense pas qu'ils savent trop qui tu es. Donc décris-nous un peu ton profil et ce que tu fais dans la vie.
Jonathan, Price sur Internet. Je travaille aujourd'hui, je fais de l'accompagnement stratégique et développement pour tout ce qui est live interactif. Et avant ça, j'ai travaillé en agence de pub, réseaux sociaux pendant presque 15 ans.
Okay.
Et donc, on sort des outils dédiés au live, comme des chats et des jeux, etc. Et on accompagne des tas de clients sur des réflexions, de la production directement sur Twitch.
Okay.
Et j'utilise Lovable jour et nuit depuis que tu as eu l'excellente idée de m'en parler. En moins de 2 jours, j'étais obligé de prendre le pack full parce que j'avais explosé toutes les requêtes et toutes les limites. Mais c'est game changer, c'est incroyable parce que ça me permet vraiment de prototyper tout ce que j'ai comme idée, tout ce que j'ai envie d'expliquer à un client, comment je le vois, et puis d'envoyer ça aussi aux devs et de pouvoir avancer. Donc c'est un excellent pont en fait entre mes connaissances et mes envies de dev et mon dev.
Ok, parce que t'es pas... Toi, t'es pas dev à la base, hein. T'es pas...
Non, okay. Un peu comme toi, je bidouille et voilà, mais je suis clairement pas dev, je peux pas, enfin c'est pas mon métier du tout. Donc Lovable permet vraiment ce pont, il permet vraiment de prototyper. Mais enfin, quand je dis prototyper, c'est pas des mock-ups en fait, ça fonctionne. C'est-à-dire que tu cliques, le formulaire se génère, il s'enregistre dans une database, etc. Donc ça pré-mâche pas mal de choses. Alors ça remplace pas un dev, hein, mais ça facilite aussi bien la communication avec lui que en fait celle avec le client. Là, par exemple, je suis sur un projet euh, où j'ai un client qui a des envies d'app et j'ai mon dev et je dois traduire. Et en fait, Lovable est parfait pour ça. Parfait.
Donc, tu démarres un projet avec ça, tu traduis l'intention d'un de tes clients dans un début de quelque chose, tu montres que ça peut fonctionner, tu montres que ça marche, et puis derrière, tu demandes à un dev de repasser, de récupérer le code et de travailler dessus. C'est vraiment comme ça que tu fonctionnes.
Il récupère pas grand chose au final. Alors, j'ai pas encore eu le cas concret, mais pour avoir déjà regardé un peu ce que ça génère, Lovable génère du bon code, il n'y a pas de souci, mais il y a aussi des questions un peu d'ownership, etc. Donc, le dev, de toute façon, il repart pas from scratch à 100%, mais il se réapproprie le projet. Mais disons que la structure a déjà été réfléchie, les différentes fonctionnalités, ben, on y a pensé. Parce qu'en fait, souvent, tu as une idée de site et tu te dis, ah, ben, il faut que ça fasse ça. Et puis en fait, quand tu le mets en place, tu te rends compte que pour que ça fasse ça, il faut d'abord que ça fasse ça, ça, ça et ça.
Mhm.
Et puis seulement ça peut faire ça. Et donc Lovable permet en fait, de mon côté, de moi déjà comprendre tout ça, et donc d'anticiper plein de discussions et plein de questions de mon dev qui va me dire, oui, mais alors pour ça, il faut une database, etc., etc. Et cetera. Et donc en fait, on gagne un temps fou. Fou.
Dans les questions qu'on a abordées ce matin, c'était entre autres sur la place de l'humain là-dedans. Le temps que tu gagnes, l'énergie que tu gagnes, bah, c'est aussi de l'argent que tu gagnes, que tu peux réallouer à autre chose. Le but, c'est pas de remplacer l'humain complètement. Il y a un côté aussi, on peut comprendre, et c'est toi qui posais la question tantôt, de se dire, bah, il y en a peut-être qui sont un peu pissed off dans les devs. C'est pas une question de remplacer le dev, mais quand même, on voit bien qu'il y a toute une série de tâches où il y a certains profils peut-être des profils un peu plus légers ou un peu plus juniors dans les devs qui peuvent quand même se poser des questions là-dessus, non?
Ouais, je pense que, en tout cas en l'état,
Mhm.
et Lovable est déjà hyper poussé, c'est-à-dire que les connectiques, les API qui sont déjà directement intégrés, c'est déjà oufissime. Mais à mes yeux, ça ne remplace pas un dev. Un
Ok.
dev, j'entends, dans un secteur professionnel, en fait. Un client qui demande quelque chose à un dev. Voilà, pour des tas de questions, je pense que ça ne remplacera pas un dev. Je pense vraiment qu'on est au stade du mock-up et que le dev, en fait, je pense qu'il peut gagner du temps en debugging et ce genre de choses, ça oui. Et donc, c'est comme Photoshop. Photoshop n'a pas remplacé, entre guillemets, les graphistes. Ils ont juste travaillé plus vite, automatisé des tas de trucs. Est-ce qu'il y a vraiment besoin de passer 4 heures à détourer des cheveux? Enfin, est-ce que ça fait vraiment partie des compétences du graphiste, tu vois?
Ouais.
Alors que aujourd'hui, il y a 2 clics, ça te le fait, mais ça remplace pas le graphiste pour ta composition, la direction artistique, tout le tralala. Et donc, c'est un peu pareil, je pense, pour Lovable. C'est un super bridge, mais le remplacer à 100% pour des gros projets, ce genre, enfin, non,
Ok.
pas
Cool.
d'impression.
Bon. T'as des trucs à montrer ou pas? Ou tu veux garder ça sous le under the hood?
Non, non, j'ai un truc qui est cool sur lequel je me suis éclaté. Donc en fait, on a sorti nous un jeu vidéo complet sur Steam qui permet aux streamers de jouer avec leur audience à des quiz.
Mhm.
Et je voulais un peu me chauffer pour en faire une version beaucoup plus light sur le web, etc. Je vais la mettre dans le chat Twitch. Euh, donc ça fonctionne. Ce que j'envoie là, c'est un quiz.
Ok.
Il se connecte à Google Sheets pour aller récupérer les questions. Et il enregistre les utilisateurs et leurs scores dans une database Supabase. Ce
Donc
qui me
t'as
permet
connecté,
d'avoir des niveaux.
c'est ça, t'as connecté la fameuse base enfin Supabase dont parlait Christian.
Alors, pour être tout à fait précis, c'est lui qui l'a fait en fait.
Ok. Ouais.
Donc, à un moment donné, il m'a dit ben, je pense qu'il faut que je crée une table sur Supabase. Alors, j'ai dû me créer un compte, mais une fois que le compte était fait, il était connecté, c'était connecté. Et puis, depuis, chaque fois, lui, il me dit ben, ok, il faut que je crée une nouvelle table. Et moi, je clique simplement sur j'accepte que tu crées cette table. Et il le fait. Je n'ai pas mis les mains je n'ai pas mis les mains dans le combi de la database. C'est
Hop.
incroyable.
Voilà, ça c'est le truc que
Il
t'as
gère les
prouvé.
cookies, il gère les caches. Et tout ce que vous voyez là, je l'ai fait en 2-3 soirées. Alors bon, comme j'avais déjà fait mon jeu, bah, je savais ce que je voulais, entre guillemets, et ce qu'il me fallait, comme
Mhm.
connectique, et voilà. Mais tout le reste, j'ai halluciné. J'ai fait ça, là, je suis sur un gros projet pour un client de site. Alors ça, je peux pas vous le montrer, mais on est en train de découper toute l'architecture du site, page par page, bloc par bloc, grâce à Lovable.
Excellent. Ouais, et donc c'est complètement fonctionnel. Et ça, tu l'as fait tout seul.
Ça, je l'ai fait tout seul, et j'ai pas ouvert le code une seule fois. Ce qui est
C'est
génial,
ouf, hein.
en fait, c'est qu'il corrige lui-même les bugs. C'est-à-dire qu'il capte qu'il y a un bug,
Ouais.
il dit il y a
Ouais.
un bug, alors tu cliques sur Try to fix it, et puis il va disparaître 5 minutes, il va revenir et il aura corrigé le truc. Ou pas, parfois. Alors,
Ouais. Et c'est ça qui est marrant, c'est que dans le chat, il va dire ah, j'ai compris où j'avais fait une erreur. Il te le fait en langage naturel aussi. Moi, c'est un des trucs qui m'a vraiment flingué, c'est que tu interagis en langage naturel avec la machine, quoi. Et ça change tout.
c'est hyper intuitif, en fait. Parce
Ouais.
que, encore une fois, je suis pas codeur, tu vois. Donc moi, je sais pas d'où vient le bug, je ne sais absolument rien. Et lui, il le trouve et il me suggère des solutions. Et donc parfois, il faut un peu tâtonner. Parfois, je suis un peu trop, je suis un peu trop gourmand dans mes attentes. Et donc je le cherche, je le demande. Et bon, je me rends bien compte qu'il a des limites. Alors on décompose. Ok, on va d'abord faire ça. Et puis une fois que ça s'est réglé, on passe à ça. Donc voilà. Mais l'apprentissage est vraiment minime,
Ouais,
minime.
à fond.
C'est incroyable.
Bon.
Voilà.
Je pense qu'on a montré et on a donné, j'espère, suffisamment envie aux students de plonger dedans. Je vais vous envoyer les codes. Hein. Donc là, je dois encore discuter un peu avec Christian. Il va m'envoyer le code. Donc on va vous l'envoyer. J'ai bien reçu les mails. Je pense qu'il y en a un peu plus que 13, le petit gars. Il y a Shady qui demande, tu as pris quelle formule pour faire ça?
Ouais, je suis assez à la 200 € par mois. Mais parce que en fait, très vite, j'ai explosé les quotas de requêtes et que j'avais des besoins. Et donc, moi, mon calcul a été très vite fait. Très, très vite fait. Quand je vois ce que ça me fait gagner, voilà. Mais après, bon, attention, je suis pas étudiant et voilà.
Ouais,
Mais,
t'es dans la version pro, quoi.
Voilà, il y a déjà un moyen de se marrer, mais comme je vous le disais dans le chat, les crédits partent assez vite finalement. Et donc, essayez de réfléchir un tout petit peu à ce que vous allez lui demander ou de grouper 2-3 demandes qui sont liées à une même fonction ou co-caisse. Parce que si on fait vraiment en mode chat, ça part très très vite.
Oui, c'est vrai que moi, j'ai eu la chance de jumper tôt dans les plans qu'ils faisaient. C'est un plan qu'ils font plus maintenant, qui était à 20 balles aussi, mais qui était en mode all you can eat. Mais je suis quand même arrivé au bout du truc. C'est un peu comme quand, si vous utilisez Claude ou ChatGPT, quand vous avez des prompts qui sont des chats qui sont trop longs, vous explosez la tokenisation la fenêtre de token, et donc à un moment donné, ça vous bloque, quoi. Cool. Merci Price de nous avoir fait ton feedback et ton retour d'expérience. Merci, thanks.
Vous l'avez belle. Salut.
À plus. Hop. Bon, ben voilà. J'espère que ça vous a plu, que ça vous a excité aussi. Donc je vous le répète, hein, il y a la possibilité de pouvoir l'utiliser. N'oubliez pas le spotting. Alors Marcus m'a fait un petit retour sur les premiers projets, puisqu'il y a déjà pas mal de projets qui sont remontés. Il dit les premiers projets soumis sont super prometteurs. Il faut juste bien faire attention de mettre au moins une source externe pour la source 1 en plus du site du projet. Et je sais que dans la démo que je vous avais montré, en source 1, j'avais mis le site du projet de Lovable, puisque c'était celui-là que moi j'avais mis. Par contre, c'est important d'en mettre un deuxième, pas que le site du projet en tant que tel, mais aussi un lien supplémentaire, par exemple d'un article journalistique ou d'un média ou d'une série enfin autre chose. Voilà, que juste le site. L'idée, c'est qu'il puisse aller se faire une idée de ce qui a déjà été dit à gauche ou à droite sur la startup en tant que telle. Voilà. Est-ce que vous avez des questions ou est-ce que c'est clair pour tout le monde? Je vais vous laisser bosser un peu à partir d'ici. J'envoie les liens au chef d'équipe. Alors, je vous demanderai de ne pas en abuser. Parce que je ne pense pas qu'on a limité le nombre, mais moi je ne payerai que pour 13. Voilà. Et ce sera pour un mois. Mais comme ça, vous aurez l'occasion de bien vous amuser avec, de bien taper dedans, et surprenez-moi pour les pitchs mercredi après-midi, avec tout ce que vous avez comme idée, pouvoir jouer avec, tester, expérimenter, coder pour le coup, des débuts de solutions à des problèmes que vous auriez, et comme ça on pourra le faire. Mais attendez bien d'avoir le lien avant de le faire, sinon vous allez être sur la version gratuite, et la version gratuite vous serez super limité très vite. C'est bon pour tout le monde? Bah, avec plaisir, avec plaisir. C'est à ça que ça sert. Un dev, c'est 400, 600 euros la journée. Gagner du temps avec un abonnement à 200 euros, c'est une évidence. Bah oui, évidemment. On va aller regarder où on peut raider. Qu'est-ce qui est live pour l'instant? Vous avez des idées de chaînes Twitch où on pourrait aller faire un tour? De rien, Matt. Je suis pas très présent sur Twitch ces derniers temps, je suis vraiment sorry. Mais... Qu'est-ce qu'il y a comme autre Ah, bah il y a RTBFXP. Bah voilà. On va aller faire un tour sur RTBFXP. Donc on se retrouve demain matin, 9h30. Pareil, soyez là, hein, les students. D'ici là, vous spottez, vous jouez avec Lovable, vous vous amusez. On se retrouve à 9h30, on va parler mobilité avec toute une série de gens qui sont vraiment, vraiment cool. On aura 3 invités avec nous demain matin pour parler mobilité. Et on va aller sur XP. Hop. Voilà. Pareil que ce matin, on reste quelques minutes, on dit bonjour. Je pense qu'il y a une quarantaine de personnes qui sont là. C'est lundi de l'IA Dev Girl. Bah voilà, bah, on est en plein dedans. On se retrouve demain matin. Merci à tous. C'était bien cool. Et à plus.